Hey YouTube, it's Nurse Can. I have not made a video in a long time, and I'll start from the beginning. I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy on 10/21/2013 here in Greenville, South Carolina. My highest weight was around 268.3. My lowest weight last summer, I got down to 152. I have since had regain, and now I am at 192. So I have gained 40 pounds in the last year. I don't really have time to go into all the problems that I've had, but my goal for making this particular video is to start vlogging about the new diet that I am on. I have been really sick for the last 2 years and had gone to many doctors trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I had all kind of ailments from head to toe, pain for the last 2 years, extreme fatigue, weakness, abdominal pain, bloating, gas, vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, headaches, shortness of breath, anxiety, depression, symptoms all the way to they were testing me for MS, where I had slurred speech, was dragging my leg behind me at some point, increased weakness, a couple of falls. I even had a bout where they thought maybe I'd had a stroke, where I had an 12-hour episode of aphasia where I could not talk. I could see, I could hear, I could understand, but I had weakness on one side of my body and I could not speak or express myself, and I could not write, which they chalked that up to a complex migraine. I've never been treated for a migraine, and I have headaches all the time, and I don't even take anything for it. So, to make the long story short, to get where I want to be now, I ended up practically losing my mind because I had gone to numerous doctors asking for help, knowing that something was wrong with me. I had gotten pretty thin for my frame. Family was concerned, I think. I have since gotten married in the last year, which I am happy to say about that, to my partner of 7 years, Pfeiffer. We are extremely happy, but we've been through a lot together for the last 2 to 3 years. I finally got to a point where I had so much vomiting and stuff going on that when I would eat, things would make me very ill. And if I didn't vomit on my own, I was making myself vomit to feel better. That ended up morphing into pretty much what they consider a full-blown eating disorder of bulimia. But then I went away to work an assignment out of town and was very depressed. I felt horrible. I was diagnosed with Raynaud's, where you lose circulation in your fingers. I was freezing all the time. I was in pain all the time. All I wanted to do was stay bundled up in clothes and curled up with the heater on in the room. And then because of being away from home and being lonely, I found comfort in just eating, like binge eating. I've never had that problem before, even though I was overweight, where I would just consume so much food, I was making myself physically ill. I was getting tachycardic, feeling faint, having spells where close to blacking out, start sweating. I felt horrible, severe abdominal pain, vomiting. But I realized that it was a coping mechanism for me, dealing with being away from home. And I never thought of myself as having a problem with food. Even though I was overweight, I think I made the wrong choices. But it was never that type of problem, I guess you could say. So I came home from this assignment. I reached out for help. I ended up going to a facility for eating disorders, and I learned a lot about myself, and it really helped me deal with the psychological issues that I have always dealt with, and it gave me an outlet to talk to someone. That I have learned that I do need therapy. I have a lot of painful issues in my past that I've never dealt with. And just struggling with my self-image. And this regain really messing with me. And I mean, it came back fast. I had gained from August of last year to January of this year about 10 pounds. Which really wasn't that bad, but I could tell I was changing. This little stint where I went away for 13 weeks out of town, developed this eating disorder, turned to food. I packed on 20 pounds easy in 6 to 8 weeks. And then since I've been home, I've gained another 10. And that's when I was in outpatient treatment for an eating disorder. Because one of the ways that they treat you is they make you eat. And they watch you so you can't make yourself vomit or you can't over-exercise, which was never a problem for me. Or you can't hide food or whatever it is. There are so many different issues out there that the one thing I think I realized was that I was different than a lot of the other people there to a certain point. One, when I made myself sick, it wasn't because I thought, oh, I gotta get rid of these calories so I don't gain weight. I was making myself sick because I felt horrible, physically ill. And the only way I knew to feel better, which I learned over the last 3 years, was get it out of your system. I started coping, and then I had this binge eating problem. And of course I would feel like shit, and I would make myself sick if I didn't get sick on my own. To get rid of that feeling, that horrible feeling that I was making myself feel by eating certain foods. And the thing was, it didn't only happen when I binge ate. It started happening with everything I ate. I would get sick. So I knew something wasn't right. Ironically, once I got home from this assignment and I was back in my safe environment, my home, I was with Pfeiffer, all the anxiety and depression started to lift. I have not had an episode of binge eating since I've been home. That only happened during about a 2-month period of me being gone. And that part corrected itself when I came home because I wasn't turning to food for my loneliness or my depression or my anxiety or my stress. But I was dealing with severe negative self-image because of my body changing again and me gaining weight again. So I had the psychological part to deal with, and then as they were making me eat meals and snacks, I mean, I was feeling physically ill and I could not get sick. So, I mean, I just felt horrible. But I followed the program. I did what they asked me to do, and I graduated from the program. And relatively a fast pace, I would think, just because I don't think I was on at that particular level as some of the other girls that I met. So, made it back home. At the same time, I had also connected with Dr. Tracy Giles, who is a functional medicine doc out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And she had seen me, and she even said she didn't feel like I had an average eating disorder, or she wouldn't want to necessarily work with me. But when I explained to her all the different things I'd tried, the organic, vegan, fruitarian, non-GMO, I mean, just trying to eat healthy and do right for so long, but I felt sicker and sicker and sicker, weaker and weaker, and I knew that I had an iron deficiency because my ferritin was as low as 9.3 last year. I was seen by an oncologist who said I needed infusions of iron, but my insurance would not pay for it, and I had Obamacare. And still do. Actually, I have 3 different insurances now. But that's beside the point. I didn't get treated for it. And the oncologist was actually infusing a lot of his patients at ferritin levels of 12 or 11 to 12. But the only reason I think insurance wouldn't pay for me was because my hemoglobin was unaffected at the time. It was at a normal range. I just felt like crap. So as I felt worse and worse and worse in January of this year, February of this year, I had blood work done on my own to find out if I had food, like deficiencies. And I learned that I had a B5 deficiency, or pantothenic acid, which is the same thing as malnutrition. And it is very rare in humans. So something's happened along the way that I did not get that. And the best way to get it, by the way, is eat beef liver. Raw, preferably. I have tried it cooked. I have tried it raw. First time I ever threw up from eating food because something tasted so nasty. Because obviously I don't have a problem eating food, or I would have never gotten up to almost 300 pounds. But I cannot do liver. Cannot do liver. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can't do liver. So, my ferritin also had dropped to 7. 2 months later, my nurse practitioner tested me again, and my hemoglobin was down to 11. So now we're having a problem. Ferritin is 7, hemoglobin is 11. I'm on a downward trend. Finally get sent to another oncologist here in Greenville at St. Francis Hospital at the Cancer Center. So last month I received my first 2 infusions of iron. My hemoglobin got to 10. I felt horrible. I was needing 2 or 3 naps a day. I couldn't function. It took everything I had to put my clothes on, and I still have days that I'm really tired. And the oncologist told me he wants his patients' ferritin to be around 100. At least 50 and above, but preferably around 100. Mine was 7. 7 to 100 is a huge distance. And it's no wonder I felt like shit. And he told me it was unacceptable for me to have gone that long without help. So, I've received those 2 infusions, and I actually go back tomorrow after a month. And they will redo my blood work, and I'll make another video and update how that's going. He and Dr. Tracy both feel that I'm probably going to need more iron infusions to get it up to the level that they feel is good, which both of them agree around 100 is what I should be at. And I'll talk more about it on my other videos about ferritin. And what it is basically it's your stored iron in your body, and then maybe I'll look some stuff up and talk about what exactly